For a year, I've been frustrated. Frustrated after last year's Electronic Entertainment Expo brought nothing but joy for the Donkey Kong Universe fandom at large. Sure, Rare isn't even being allowed to develop their own franchises anymore, but Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze blew any possible ill will completely out of the water.
You're doing it again, Theodore.
What? Who's that? And my name's Ted.
You're having another divergence from reality, Theodore.
Ted. And don't be daft. I'm merely an ancillary talking acorn character from an obscure Game Boy Color game from the late 90s, speaking to a completely motionless audience in a venue that conveniently allows me to express my thoughts on modern gaming through a visual medium. What's unrealistic about that?
We spoke about this in our last session, Theodore.
Ted.
And you won't be able to begin the healing process until you come back to reality.
Oh, don't make me.
I'm sorry, Theodore.
Ted!
But you have to.
Oh, now this is glamorous.
Tell me, Theodore.
Ted!
Why are you frustrated? 1 year ago, you said you wanted a new Donkey Kong Country game. Well, you got that at E3 2013. It was a glorious day, and all who opposed you were smited!
Well, that's true, but I'm a member of the online gaming fandom. I'm totally incapable of enjoying the status quo. I've always got to be looking to the future, finding new, unconfirmed things to incessantly complain about.
Sounds about right.
You see, acorns like me, we've got a vision. And that vision is that Donkey Kong and the Donkey Kong universe should be a big deal at every E3. Donkey Kong Country is one of the top 4 selling Nintendo franchises. If Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon all get as much attention as they do, then why shouldn't Donkey Kong?
So you're telling me that your key to mental health is to savagely murder all the other Nintendo series fans?
What? No. Well, maybe the Metroid fans. But otherwise, of course not. What I'm proposing is that with Donkey Kong Country a viable franchise once again, Nintendo must continue to cultivate continual releases, or else see their hard work atrophy the series back to 2007. Here's what they'll need to announce at E3 2014. Donkey Kong Land returns. Monster Games did fantastic work on last year's Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D. Additionally, they helped retro out with some level design, arts, and engineering of Tropical Freeze. With the original Donkey Kong Land trilogy now out on the Nintendo eShop in Japan, it's led the rumor mill to churn itself sick over the possibility that Monster will be making an all-new Donkey Kong platformer for the 3DS, using the Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D engine and reviving the Donkey Kong Land brand name.
Hey, why not call it Donkey Kong's Pocket Tales?
Because they just want the game to sell well, not cause mass hysteria and looting of electronic stores. Anyway, the big question of a Donkey Kong Land Returns is if Monster would bring back the Tikis, Snowmads, or the Kremlings. I believe none of the above. Instead, I predict that popular Donkey Kong Land enemy and People Magazine's sexiest porcines of 1995, Hogwash, will declare their independence from the Kremlin crew and wage war against the Kongs, revealing the popular Oink characters to be their sleeper agents. The reveal of Hogwash at E3 will lead to hashtag Hogwash to trend on Twitter and—
Have you been taking your medication, Theodore?
Not unless you count rum and coconut prawns as medication. Ha-ha!
Of course I do. I wrote you that prescription last week.
And it has fueled my visions of Donkey Kong Land Returns ever since.
But do you really believe you'll see it at E3? Aren't you setting yourself up for a massive disappointment?
I'm just following the clues. There's nothing more fun than reading between the lines and blowing everything out of proportion before an E3. Sure, it can make one near suicidal when you get Game & Watch Remix instead, but on the off chance that any of this is actually revealed, it's better than motorboating a woman. Motorboating a woman being when you take her out on the ocean in the motorboat you built, and she gets so excited that she lets you rub your face all over her.
Yes. What other clues are you following, Theodore?
Diddy Kong Racing Wii U. Speaking of monster games, this one's been rumoured since January of last year. While most of us assume that whispers of a monster-developed DKR 3D actually turned out to be DKCR 3D, the shocking lack of Diddy Kong or any other new Donkey Kong elements in Mario Kart 8 has led some people to start questioning whether Nintendo has eased up on the Kongs in Mario Kart in order to save them for a Diddy Kong Racing reveal. It makes sense. With Donkey Kong Country proving to still be a viable brand, why not revive the next beloved trademark with a developer who not only has experience with Donkey Kong, but with racing games in general?
But how is Diddy Kong Racing possible without Rare? Don't they own WizPig?
Well, yes.
And TT? Timber?
I'm trying.
Pipsy?
Let me.
Bumper?
For crying out.
Tip Top?
We'll just wait.
Drumstack?
Well then, while that may be...
Bubbler and Smokey?
Yes. Rare owns everyone but Diddy, Crunch, and sometimes Tricky. He's the vowel of dinosaur bosses. But if you include them, along with Dixie and Tiny from Diddy Kong Racing DS, you could then introduce a new group of characters to flesh out the roster. Imagine, if you will, Derpy the Dingo, Gorks the Gecko, Shitsy the Swan. All characters that could go off and star in their own franchises. It'd be 1998 all over again.
That would be great. I've still got dozens of those America Online free trial discs I never used. Behold!
Were those just in your ceiling? No matter. We really should address the giant purple magically racist elephant genie in the room. Rare! A company near and dear to both of our hearts.
Mine's made out of construction aggregate and evil magic.
Rare's been shackled to the Kinect for 4 years now. Last year, our hopes were raised when the head of Microsoft's Xbox division, Phil Spencer, said that an historic Rare IP was set to return to the Xbox One. Indeed, Killer Instinct inflicted an unethical combo upon gamers when it was revealed that not only would Rare not develop it, but it would be released in seasons, without even a story mode attached upon release. Despite it not even being a complete game, it surprised many with solid reviews and sales. So this begs the $360 question. Will Microsoft give another of Rare's properties to an up-and-coming developer to work on? My sources say yes.
We've been over this, Theodore. Homeless lunatics are not sources.
Banjo 3, so named because it will be split up into 3 installments over the course of as many years. Season 1 will allow us to play as Banjo in the training grounds of Spiral Mountain, but we'll have to wait until Season 2 before we learn what wacky shenanigans Gruntilda's up to, or what the bloody point of the game is. Season 3 will have kazooie, jiggies and music notes added, allowing you to progress beyond Spiral Mountain and finally play the game. That's Banjo 3, developed by some guys or whatever. Doesn't matter, they'll just get purchased by Amazon or Google before they can finish Season 2. It's okay, because Ken Lobb says relax.
So tell me, Theodore, what do you think Rare is working on? Connect Sports 4?
Of course, but the clues tell us more. Remember that 2013 holiday card released last December?
Whoa, don't take the Christ out of Christmas, Theodore.
You can thank Saturnalia for that. Anywho, the appearance of the Pinata Horstachio marked the first time Rare has included a non-Connect Sports Xbox avatar in their marketing in years. So does this mean that Microsoft is allowing them to resume their work on one minor post-buyout success? Nope. Craig Duncan, the head of Rare after the Stamper brothers decided to go into witness protection when they refused to give Grabbed by the Ghoulies fans their sequel, has said, "We're not going to go and remake the same game," which I think when people comment is what they say they want. We've made the best bowling ever. The best bowling that's ever been, ever, on any platform. Rare's not changing direction anytime soon. But what of the pinatas? My prediction is that they're gonna bring them back in a spectacular fashion in their newest Kinect game, Bowling for Crocodile. Like the Michael Moore movie, it too will end with nerds gunning people down and Kmart ultimately not carrying the game.
As a staunch libertarian, I find that terrifying. Ayn Rand hated bowling. Is there nothing we can do?
Indeed there is. You see, last year, reviled Donkey Kong Universe fan empire DK Vine,
I am familiar with DK Vine.
well, they launched an internet petition designed to get obscure Banjo-Tooie character Chief Bloatazin his own 9-part video game series. Last year it shocked the world by reaching almost 30 supporters. The sky is the limit how many signatures they'll get by the time E3 2014 rolls round. 50? Dare I say 51? Phil Spencer and Craig Duncan will have no choice but to cave to fan demands at long last. We are the denizens of your fan base, Microsoft, and we are bloated with demand for this quality character.
Do you think it'll work?
If it doesn't, then we'll just have to do what we did at last year's Microsoft press conference. Drink petrol and hallucinate Cyberman Stampede.
I see. You know, that's not the first time you've mentioned that chapter from your childhood, Theodore. Let's talk about Mother again.
Mother? I told you already, Doc. While I hope both Ness and Lucas come back, I don't feel like Earthbound deserves a third rep in Super Smash Brothers.
Rep?
Representative. Shut up! Hey, speaking of Super Smash Brothers, we're likely to see even more reveals for the gracefully titled Super Smash Brothers for Nintendo 3DS and Super Smash Brothers for Wii U at E3. Now, the big question on all Donkey Kong Universe fans' minds is if K. Rool will make his return on the grandest stage of them all. Final Destination. No items, K. Rool only. Even if we got no other new games announced, a confirmed K. Rool as a playable fighter would make E3 for most Kongophiles. Kongophiles. You know, folks who want to make the beast with 2 silverbacks. Bestiality enthusiasts. Like the people at DK Vine.
Ah, yes, of course. Thank you.
Not at all. But indeed, the eternally youthful man candy, Masahiro Sakurai, already whet our appetites, instead of just our panties, by revealing Kremlings as part of the all-new Smash Run mode in Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS during the April Nintendo Direct. Now that we know that they're not off-limits, bookies have even suspended betting on K. Rool, as he seems to be a sure thing. Which is a good thing, as I'm already thousands deep to the bloody Weasel Mafia.
So no matter what happens, you're coming out of E3 with good news.
Nope. A popular character with a huge fan base who would logically work as a playable character? That's just not Nintendo's style. Following in the footsteps of the fast-selling Mario Kart 8, Sakurai has decided to include variations on popular characters, rather than come up with any new combatants. So look forward to playing as Cyan Aluminium Baby Catsuit Wa Rosalina.
Well, let's hope her stats are good.
And speaking of characters, Nintendo's been in dire straits this generation. And I don't mean they've been sodomizing Mark Knopfler.
Again with the sodomy.
What? Don't write that down.
I don't have arms. Actually, this was an incredibly poor choice of profession for me.
How will they turn around sales with a moribund home console? Why, by making parents buy useless shit. Nintendo, the master of innovation, does what no other video game company has ever dreamed of by selling plastic figurines with built-in near-field communication, allowing direct interaction with the video game world, breaking down the barriers between the physical and virtual world.
Yeah, that's Skylanders.
What?
And Disney Infinity. Hey, I'm a stationary stone golem from the Aztec era, and even I know that these are, like, everywhere. For almost 3 years now, in fact. The market's already oversaturated with them.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be some epic game attached to these like the others before it. Imagine a Nintendo crossover game like Smash Brothers. Only you have to buy each individual character, where the size of your adventure is limited only by the size of your bank account. Wait, what's this proposal image in my mind's eye? Game 1, 2, and 3? These aren't going to be used for one game. Does that mean these are nothing more than glorified peripherals? Buy the damn Mario figure and wear his hat in the new Kirby adventure? Grab the new Princess Daisy and allow Link to wear her dress in Majora's Mask HD? Why are we wasting petroleum on this?
But Theodore, you were just saying in our last session how you wanted more Dixie Kong toys for your collection.
You know damn well they're never going to get around to Dixie. It's going to be Mario, Yoshi, several varieties of Toad, and maybe Donkey Kong within a year. If we're lucky, we'll get Diddy Kong before the whole operation is deemed a failure and Nintendo moves on to their next brilliant idea. That's right! Parry the Parallel Bird Adventures, Chapter 1. Parry in the Parallel Universe.
Excuse me?
Now, obviously, we can't talk about the Nintendo rumor mill without discussing the game that's been on everyone's hushed whisper since its E3 debut in 2011. We all know it's coming, but my sources tell me that this title will send our little hero Parry into places he couldn't dream, like feudal Japan. By the way, he couldn't dream it because he's a bird, with no concept of the pre-Meiji history of the country. However, one must ask why in fact no news about this game has been revealed since E3 2011. Why has it been in development hell? Simple! Nintendo intends to do what it's done second best in recent years, and follow its competitors! It's time to jump on the hottest trend in video games, Guitar Simulation! Yes, Nintendo has looked at the data and has seen that sales for guitar-based games have been steady since 2011. Realising that it's a sure thing and that it would give the Wii U sales much-needed consistency, they've locked in Parry to star, since who better to lead a horizontal line than the Parallel Bird? Get ready for Parry the Parallel Axe Master, coming sometime this year, or next year, or the next.
That sounds terrific, Theodore.
You think so?
Of course not! I simply have a penchant for sarcasm that I don't often get to use.
I'm sorry you see it that way, Doc. For my mental health, I need most of these to come true, but maybe this will change your mind. Donkey Kong 64 2-ish. You may remember last year that Camelot's head said that he'd love to do a Donkey Kong 64 follow-up. Then, just 5 months ago, Kensuke Tanabe, producer of Triangle Freeze, said that he could see the DK series featuring both 2D and 3D versions, a la Mario. Sounds to me that Nintendo is looking to build on the successful franchise relaunch of Donkey Kong Country, and Camelot has already volunteered for the job.
You saw what happened when Metroid fanatics learned Retro would be working on another DK game. Don't you see this playing out again?
I'm not gonna lie to you, Doc. It would be the fall of Camelot.
Is this going to be a King Arthur reference or a Kennedy reference?
Well, Kennedy. As we all know, there are Metroid fanboys deep within the CIA, the Italian mafia, and the Cuban government. Also, I hear LBJ's daughter, Linda Bird, was deeply offended by Other M and wants Nintendo to right their wrong before they lose any more market share to Sony. Yes, a sinister conspiracy is circling around Hiroyuki Takashi, and has been since he gave the go-ahead for the Bay of Pigs. The Bay of Pigs being the proposed subtitle of Donkey Kong 64 2-ish. It's also going to be about hogwash.
Theodore, do you honestly believe that a subset of Metroid fanatics would be capable of carrying out a premeditated assassination?
These are the same people who sent out death threats to Destructoid's Chris Carter because he gave Triangle Freeze a 10 out of 10. They're dangerous and should be avoided at all costs. If you or a loved one encounters a Metroid fan, do not engage. Call your local authorities and immediately hide in a nearby panic room or the Wii U section of a video game retailer. You won't be found in either one.
Who are you talking to? Theodore, the expectations you've laid out are breaking you further from reality. Why do you and other Donkey Kong Universe fans do this to yourselves year after year? You build up your hopes for E3 on such a grand scale, and how many times has it really worked out for you over the course of the 19 years you've been following the show? 3? 4? You had a terrific E3 last year. Why can't you just take comfort in that? Embracing that having an off year or two will just make future E3 victories all the more special. If you got everything you wanted every year, eventually you would just grow spoiled and lose that sardonic cynicism that sets you apart as a fan base. You'd be humorless dolts. Do you really want to be no different than Mario fans?
I think it's time I start seeing a new psychiatrist.
Nobody else will accept Mako Island Mutual Insurance. You are mine! Ah!
No! Ah! They're in my beard! Ah! Oh well, it's still better than E3 2012. Same time next week.
Let me check my calendar.
Arr! Ah, har, har.
I think we can squeeze you in.
That one got in me mouth a little. I hate these things. Bloody bats. We might shave me beard off.
Que rico.